Have you ever played a game like this with a wooden man? If you move your body even a little bit, you'll be shot dead. Everyone was shocked. So this is a killing game. They were so scared that they ran away. Many rushed to the main entrance, but the game continued. Shizuka rolled her eyes. Anyone who moves took a bullet. Seeing people's heads explode with their own eyes, Sung Gi-hun was scared and regretful. 3 days ago, he met a man in a suit on the subway. The two of them played a card game. If you can flip the other person's cards over, you can win 100,000 yuan. If you don't have the money, a slap in the face is worth 100,000 yuan. Gi-hun agreed. He ended up getting 100 slaps in a row. It's rumored that the man in the suit didn't ask for a paycheck for this scene. He just wanted to slap his best friend in the face. Gi-hun didn't give up. He put all his strength into it. He slammed the cards again. As his opponent's cards flipped clumsily, he finally won a hand. The man in the suit was willing to lose, elegantly handed over $100,000, and left a business card. If you want to play this game again, feel free to contact. Sung Gi-hun was a real gambler. Now he's in debt. He's desperate. This real $100,000 makes him think it's a good deal. Soon after, a stretch limousine came to pick him up. When the door closed, there was a cloud of smoke. Sung Gi-hun fainted. When he woke up, he found himself locked up in a tin room, surrounded by people like him. He was surrounded by people who were as poor as he was. They were dressed in uniform. They walked into a large playground. Shizuka's big head stood across the street. The first game was 123 wooden figures. Isn't this a game you used to play when you were a kid? The two boys even found it very interesting. They made a bet to see who would be the first to arrive. They rushed to the front, but Yellow Hair rushed too hard. When Shizuka turned around, he was swaying like a butterfly.
병신 걸렸네.
Because Yellow Hair can't see blood, people still don't realize the seriousness of the matter. The game continues.
야, 너 탈락이야, 병신아. 개쇼하지 말고 일어나.
The boy was so scared that he backed away. Shizuka recognized the movement. He simply shot him. Then the crowd exploded. Only those who stayed still survived. No one dared make a move. Only an old man came forward with glee. Seeing that he was fine, the others moved on, but some were unlucky enough to be caught by Shizuka. Fatty told Gi-hun to hide behind others to minimize the risk. Gi-hun did as he was told, but the people in front of him were falling. When he was panicking, a man grabbed him by the back of the leg. The female thief grabbed the man's fresh wig. She yanked the man's new wig back, but he didn't dare to get mad, because they're playing 123 wooden heads. If you catch him, you'll be shot. Gi-hun was so scared, he peed his pants, but he had to get to the end of the line, otherwise he'll be shot too. That's when I reminded him he could hide behind someone else. It worked, but the cannon fodder in front of him was being wiped out layer by layer. When he panicked, his legs were wrapped around him. A man with an injured leg begged him to save him. The kind-hearted Gi-hun hesitated for a moment. After all, he chose to be beautiful alone. Shizuka turned her head again. Gi-hun stepped on someone else's arm. He flew out, but he got stuck in the air. It turned out that the foreigner behind him had grabbed him by the collar. In the final 3 seconds of the countdown, they finally crossed the red line. After this wooden man game, there are only 201 people left out of the original 456. The dead are locked in their coffins. Even the people who had a final breath has been sealed up. The survivors didn't want to continue the game. They got down on their knees and begged to be allowed to go home. 45.6 billion won fell from the big transparent ball above their heads. It was a sight to behold for these indebted gamblers. The organizers announced, if you give up the game, you'll go home empty-handed. If they made it through 6 levels in a row, they could split the 45.6 million won. But in the face of death, 101 people chose to forfeit. The game had to end. But back to their old lives, they were once again surrounded by gambling debts. The pressure of life is suffocating in the end. All of them, without exception, contacted the game department again. They got on a luxury bus with no problem. Vertigo was sprayed from all directions, but the female thief was prepared, utilizing the tortoise breath technique to close the air. After arriving at the headquarters, everyone's clothes were taken away. The female thief put the knife in the guard's pocket. After the search, she stole the knife back. See, that's what I call professionalism. Learning from our previous experience, people are starting to form gangs. Gi-hun and Sang-woo formed a team. They also included a foreigner who was very enthusiastic, and the cancer man they knew from before. Curly's team was made up of strong men. They had a clear power advantage over Gi-hun's group. Ms. Performer applied to join. Her specialty is acting, but Curly refused. He doesn't know what kind of talent he's rejecting. Showgirl wants to go to the restroom, but the guards wouldn't open the door. She went straight to the bathroom.
야, 진짜 잘 나온다!
The guard opened the door. Ms. Sho sat on the toilet as she wished. She took out his long-time cigarettes and lighter from his pants. As expected of a showgirl, she's a professional. Just as he was swallowing the smoke in ecstasy, the female thief suddenly opened the toilet door, handsomely showed her knife.
This game is called carved sugar cookies. Anyone who damages the shape in the center will be killed without mercy. Before the game begins, each person must choose a shape, which is a circle, triangle, pentagram, and an umbrella. Everyone was confused. They don't know what they're for. But the female thief was thinking about it. Last night, she sneaked into the ventilation duct. He saw the guards melting maltos. She instantly thought it might be from her childhood game called sugar cookie carving. The simpler the shape, the better. Sang-woo made an alliance with her. So he guessed it too. So he also chose the easiest triangle, because he missed the moon in his hometown. So he chose a circle. The old man with cancer chose a pentagram because he missed the starry sky of his childhood. So he chose the pentagram. Gi-hun chose the umbrella, which is the most appealing. Sang-woo's heart stuttered, but he knew there were no friends in this game. So he said goodbye to Gi-hun in his heart. The doctor didn't even think about it. He chose the triangle. Early in the breakfast, he ate a note in the cake. It clearly stated sugar cookies. He helped the guards dissect the body in private. In return, he'd get advance information about the next game. When the rules of the game are announced, Gi-hun almost cried. But his hands did not dare to stop. If he couldn't finish within the time limit, will also be killed. On the other side, the one who chose the pentagram is also cursing the street. Sister Sho hid in the corner and took out her lighter. It turns out that before entering the base camp, she hid her cigarettes and lighter in her pants, but he didn't expect to use them this time. She put a needle on the fire and melted the maltos along the lines. He was able to pick out the pattern quickly and steadily. Soon after, someone raised their hand and finished.
111번 성공, 212번 성공.
Gi-hun was getting anxious. His pattern was too difficult. He was running out of time. He was in a hurry. He frantically licked the back of the sugar cookie. In the 37 degrees heat, the sugar cookies became thin and soft. As he watched, the savages around him followed suit. It worked. They finally snapped the pattern at the last minute. But the ones who didn't were in for a rude awakening. The red-robed guards surrounded them in a corner and shot them all. The playing field was dyed red with blood. Uncle took one of the guards by surprise. He ordered him to take off his mask. He saw that the boy was about the same age as his own son.
저 어린 놈이 왜 이렇게 된 거야?
With these words, he shot himself in the head, and the kid was shot by his boss for revealing his face.
What if someone cuts in line when you're eating? Look at this girl stopping the queue in anger, but this strong man also came to cut in line. He gave her a fierce look. The girl can't beat him, and no one to help, so she let them cut in line, but the number of servings at lunch is fixed. The person who cut in line ate a double portion that left 5 people without food. They went up to them, but they were punched to the ground. The curly-haired man's punches and kicks became heavier and heavier. He beat this skinny man to death. The guards did nothing. Apparently, they acquiesced in this behavior. As the number of people decreased, the total prize money has increased by 100 million won. This is definitely suggesting that, the more people die, the more money will be given to the living. All of a sudden, everyone wanted to join Curly's camp, because that side is the most powerful. The doctor quietly approached him. He was disliked, but he stayed with just one word.
내가 알아요. 다음 게임이 뭔지.
The only way to survive is to win the game, and the doctor had already conspired with the guards, had help with the transplant, and the guards would whisper questions to him. On the other hand, in order to consolidate her position, they went straight to a love match. They swore they'd never betray each other. After lights out, a bloody massacre broke out in the dormitory. Brother Curly led a team of strong men to carry out a sneak attack. It's the best way to show that the weak are the strongest. When the strong and the weak were about to fight, the guards stepped in to stop the fight. After all, if there are too few people left, the rest of the game could not go on. After counting the dead bodies, the organizers let the people form 3 groups, 10 people in each group. After 10 minutes, the next round of the game will begin. After what they've just seen, they realize the importance of strength. Everyone wants to be in a group with a strong man. The curly-haired brother instantly changed his mind. The first time he kicked the showgirl out of the team, even if she kneeled down and prayed, it didn't help.
정덕수, 씨발놈아, 나 배신하면 죽인다고 했다.
The curly-haired man cursed the ugly one, then he left without looking back. In a few moments, he will pay a very heavy price. On the other side, Gi-hun and Sang will have a team of 9. The team included a sick old man, and 2 skinny girls. The showgirl sat down on her butt, forcefully joined the organization.
이 삐쩍구른 애들보다 내가 훨씬 더 쓸만할걸? 그리고 내가 못하는 것 빼고는 다 잘하거든.
Sangwoo was about to cry. At this point, the countdown is over. The game finally began. This time, the event was a tug-of-war. The strongman team has all the advantages. They used only 80% of their strength to drag their opponents off the platform. Have you ever seen a tug-of-war like this? The loser falls right off the platform. They hold on to the rope and hang in the air, but a merciless guillotine falls on their heads, and these people were thrown to their deaths. The waiting players are terrified, especially Gi-hun's group, because their group was made up of old women and children. Before they went on stage, they were waiting to die. Everyone was in mourning. The only exception was old man number 1. He told everyone he'd been good at tug-of-war since he was a kid.
줄다리기는 힘으로만 하는 게 아니야. 줄다리기는 작전을 잘 짜고 단합만 잘 되면은 힘이 모자.
But he's panting when he talks. He couldn't even stand up. One of his teammates got impatient and told him to shut up. As the saying goes, there's always an old man in the family. It's a dead man's life anyway. Gi-hun decided to try it his way. First, we have to choose a front man. This person should have a strong aura. He should be able to put pressure on his opponents and show his teammates that he's a reliable shoulder. The last person to stand should be the strongest, like an anchor to stabilize the core of the team. The position of the teammates in the center is also very important. You need to put the rope in the center, standing on the left and right side of the rope. Stand straight with your feet parallel to each other. The rope should be under the armpit. The most important thing is, in the first 10 seconds after the gunshot, you must not rush to pull your opponent across the river. Rather, you should focus on defense. Adopt a backward lying position to stabilize the lower body. It worked. The big man on the other side gritted his teeth, but 10 seconds have passed. The rope did not move at all. Once people fall into self-doubt, they'll get carried away. The big man's foot slipped. All of a sudden, they're in disarray. The old and weak team seized the moment. The weak and the old use the rope to shake the ropes to gain momentum. The advantage becomes more and more obvious. The big man on the other side is approaching the edge of the cliff. But how can we lose in a life and death situation? With the captain's roar, big guy team quickly regained the momentum. The old and weak team had no time to set up this time. Their feet are like roller skates as they rush towards the other side of the river. It's risky, but at least it's a solution. Sang-woo, count down to 3, let's send the rope together. The other guy did fall. One of Gi-hun's thighs was buried in the abyss. When he fell to the ground, he was holding on to the rope. He couldn't keep up the pace. The underdogs are pulling hard on the rope. Finally pulled the big guy team into the abyss. The guillotine falls, ended the match. Everyone fell to the ground. Between breaths there is the joy of surviving, but also the fear of killing someone.